everybody. It is Friday, February 19th, 2016. This is, of course, Radio Tokyo, and I'm your host, Jonathan, and we're back after 2 weeks because Nick decided to go full-on cyborg. Now, my concern with Nick being full-on cyborg is that he's going to kill us all and take over the world. But for this show, I actually invited Cyborg Nick on, to try and calm your nerves. So, Nick, why don't you tell everyone about becoming a cyborg and just, first off, my main question is it fun being a cyborg?
Okay, just for the record, I am not a cyborg, number one. Number two, I am not Mexican, as John has put so many times. I'm Puerto Rican. There is a difference, people. There is a difference. And number three, I'm going to take over the world, whether I'm a cyborg or not. It actually doesn't matter. I'm just going to take over the world. It's a simple fact. And number four, hello everybody. I missed everybody. Sorry I've been gone for so long.
I have never called you a Mexican. I have called you a Mexicano.
Yeah, I'm not that either.
Then what are you, Nick? What are you?
I'm Puerto Rican and human.
You're a cyborg Mexican. You know what you are? You know what you are? You are a cyborg Mexican built in China. You are Donald Trump's worst nightmare. Hang on. I have one more thing to add to this, to you being Trump's nightmare. Not only are you a cyborg Mexican that was built in China, you are also Catholic.
Yeah, I am actually Catholic. That's the one thing you have gotten right. However, I would be okay with being those things just to be Donald Trump's worst nightmare, because that would be awesome.
Well, okay. Since we've already, mentioned the devil, let's just play devil's advocate here. About Trump, are you familiar with what he said, like, yesterday?
I'm not sure, because Trump says so many things.
Well, essentially,
tell me specifically.
He essentially called the Pope a disgrace because the Pope said that anyone who actually wants to build walls and not help his fellow man is not a Christian. And Trump is of the belief that the Pope is just a disgrace. And my response to this is, do you know that the Pope actually carries his own luggage? This Pope has literally lived in poverty for most of his life. I mean, he gives away everything he possibly can. He has completely shunned, the rock star life that most popes, particularly the last one we had, maybe reconsider your stance on calling this man a disgrace, because it's not like he was, like Cardinal Ratzinger and was in the Hitler Youth or anything.
He's the most popish pope that has ever poped, to my knowledge. And that's saying something, because I actually really like John Paul II.
So you did not like the Hitler Youth Pope we had before this one?
Not particularly. I mean, he didn't seem to do any Hitler Youth things while he was Pope. I can say that, but he didn't really do anything good or great or memorable either, so...
So you're saying that you
there's not much to say about him.
So you're saying that you had absolutely no love for the Hitler Youth?
I have love for reformed Hitler Youth.
So you're saying that he was a reformed Hitler Youth?
I'm hoping that he is.
But what if he
wasn't? Well, then that would be bad, and I would have no love for him.
But what if he wasn't?
That's what I just said. If he wasn't, I would have no love for him, and also wonder how he became the Pope.
He's Hitler Youth. How else do you think he became the Pope?
I I don't know. I don't know. But
It's
yeah, I like this Pope.
I'm not even remotely Catholic, and I like him. I mean, it's kind of strange. Like
Everyone likes him.
someone has accused. Well, see, Trump supporters don't like him now because he's attacked Donald Trump. I'm like, okay,
Are they really people though? Do they count when I say everyone?
I guess. Well, so see, here's one of the main arguments about this. And I actually wish I had thought ahead of time to get the graphic ready for this. Um, so, some people have made an actual good argument about the Pope needing to keep his damn mouth shut about this, and it's interesting to think about it. And it's not that I think he needs to. It's more that um, Donald. Okay. Essentially, the argument is that uh, America can have a wall on its southern border because the Vatican has a wall entirely around it. And it's like, well, how can you be against building walls? Why aren't you against, tearing down the walls? Well, when all this nonsense
Oh,
started coming back, like the Pope has actually heard what Trump has said about him, and he suggested more along the lines of uh, not building a wall to keep people out, but building a bridge to better communicate with people. Which I mean, it's interesting, to me for someone who says I'm a Christian, ha 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 ha, and then you have the Pope,
oh,
who is the leader of the largest group of Christians on the planet, saying you're not very Christ-like because the red letters in the Bible say to be nice to people and don't turn the sojourner away.
well, just for to clarify for people, the reason that the Vatican has walls is because it's a fortress. Because the Pope was under siege for many, many years and has had to defend himself against the Italian emperors many times. So that's just a history lesson for people. The reason they probably have not brought the walls down is because that would be very difficult since it's designed to have walls. It's an actual fortress.
You're saying that the Pope is a warmonger.
I'm saying that past popes have been warmongers.
Oh, wait, you mean like the Hitler Youth one that we had before this one? Because that actually would make perfect sense for him to live in a fortress.
I mean, possibly. I'm not. I did not follow the previous pope closely enough to see if he tried to declare war on anyone in particular.
Wait, so
But it would make sense.
since when do Nazis declare war? They just invade
I mean, well, did Catholics invade anywhere?
South America.
I meant, well, Nazi youth guy was in charge.
Probably wouldn't surprise me. I mean, like
I mean,
okay, look,
no.
okay. You've given a history lesson. I'm gonna give one now. Catholicism has actually not spread as peacefully as people apparently believe it has. It's not like everyone wakes up and says, "Oh, I'm Catholic today." No, in the past, Catholicism actually spread through ultra violence, and especially in
Oh
South
yeah.
America. And
Oh,
like,
let, let's get this straight. Catholicism in history is just as violent, if not more violent, than the Muslim and Islamic states and organizations throughout history.
but see,
Catholics were incredibly warmongering for a very, very, very long time. And only in recent history, very recent history, has that started to stop.
what I was gonna say is, with today being Friday, Catholics are commanded to not eat fish on Friday. Um, the Catholic Church pretty much fucked up South America. and I don't just mean that in as far as wiping out population goes. I mean, the people in South America are allowed to eat a capybara, which is a dog-sized rat, on Friday because the Catholic Church defined that as being a fish. So you're eating an animal that's the size of like a normal house pet on Friday because it's fish. That's a little bit messed up. That's been 200 years ago or more, and no one has bothered to correct it since then. So I'm sorry, Catholicism. A capybara is not a fish; it's a rat, and you might want to get on fixing that as soon as you solve the child rape problem thing.
Yeah, I am Catholic, but I am the first to admit there are many problems in the church that need to be addressed. However, I think that it's going in the right direction, just very, very, very slowly.
Maybe it needs to go a lot
Like
faster.
Congress, like Congress.
Wait. Why are we bringing up Congress? I mean, it's because it's an election year and 463 seats out of 539 in both House and Senate are up for grabs. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
No, because see, here's the thing about that. This is actually
No, wait.
th-
Here's
th-
my question. Wait. Here's my question. Will Congress be fixed faster than the Catholic Church?
ooh no.
That's kind of sad.
Well, think about it this way. Um, Congress is kind of screwed because, like I said, there's 400, like pretty much every seat in the House is up for grabs right now, which is highly
Well, it's
unusual.
always up for grabs every time.
No, actually, most people, like most experts who look at it, said that on average, there's typically no more than 100 seats up for grabs at all. I mean, like literally all of Congress could be replaced this year if people voted for it,
Hmm,
except for
that would be interesting.
except for the Senate. The Senate is uh not being
Yeah,
touched
because
this
it's on
year,
every,
but
but
pretty
the
but like I said,
executive,
pretty much every seat in Congress is up for grabs right now.
which makes this very interesting. It also creates a interesting dynamic because a lot of people say that, well, as everyone knows, we really like Bernie Sanders. And a lot of people say that Bernie Sanders can't do anything with a Republican Congress. Well, we can make a Democratic Congress if you want, or we could make an independent Congress. We could literally make any kind of Congress we want right now.
Yeah, like this is the most interesting election year I've ever seen, and this actually does go along with something that I was hoping we could actually discuss when it happened earlier this week, but we just never got around to it, and that would be the death of Antonin Scalia. Um, it makes the election even more interesting because like I said, uh, I think there's maybe two or three seats in the Senate that are up for grabs. It doesn't matter. The Senate's going to remain pretty much unchanged. But Congress could be flipped entirely. Like if everyone voted for for this election, I'm voting for a Democrat for Congress because I'm tired of the Republican that we have there right now, and I'm a Republican. I'm tired of it, so I'm going to vote for a Democrat.
Well,
Okay, so
it could be a lot like in 2008 when Obama excited the Democratic base enough that he won a Democratic Senate and House.
we'll see.
And if Bernie can generate that same excitement in the Democratic Party, I would not be surprised to see a Democratic Senate and House.
Well, the thing is, the excitement's already there because we have Bernie, who has pretty much all the support in the world right now, and then you have Hillary, who I don't understand how she has support, but she does. But she's incredibly popular, and I secretly hope she loses to Bernie, and then she just quits politics for fucking ever because it would be nice to get rid of her. But
I
you know,
really don't. I don't understand it. I honestly, I don't understand it. I don't get it. None of my friends seem to get it. Um, my liberal leaning friends, they don't seem to get it. The best argument I've seen for Hillary is that Bernie can't get any of his things done, which I think is bullshit personally. That's the
Bernie's been
strongest
getting stuff
argument
shit
I've
done for
seen
40 years. So
for
the
Hillary.
argument that he can't do anything, and then the argument that he's unelectable. Mayor of Burlington, he and so on, like all the way up to being a senator and now presidential candidate. I think he's probably electable. I mean, look at his performance in New
Yeah.
Hampshire. But getting back to what I was going to say, yes, we could essentially reconstruct the entire government this year by itself. Now, I know that people aren't really allowed to say in Supreme Court justices, but right now, uh, there is a seat up for grabs. I mean, the court is essentially hung right now. And okay, just because it's necessary to explain this shit, because so many people don't understand this. The Supreme Court has an uneven number of judges for a reason. It is to have a tiebreaker. Like my city council or commission, what we call them here, commission, has got 7 commissioners. That is to break a tie. That way, you have a simple majority. That way you're not saying 4 to 4 and then you're stuck. Like with a court in the case of having 9 justices, you don't have 8, so you're 4. You could be 4 to 4 and you're stuck. You may have 5 to 4 or 6 to 2, or one abstention, whatever gives you the very simple majority is the way it functions. That is democracy at its most pure, most demonstrable right there. So that's the way the court's supposed to function. With Scalia dead, it didn't matter whether Scalia is conservative or liberal, which you all know he's highly conservative, or was highly conservative rather. It makes a huge problem because the court can tie right now, and they will get nothing done. If the Supreme Court cannot make judgments on anything at all, that leaves the people, the judges in, uh,
The circuit courts.
yeah, to essentially make up their own goddamn minds on what they want to rule on things. So there
And
goes, uh,
just for people who don't know, there are 13 different circuit courts, which represent the 12 regions of the U.S. and one for the federal jurisdiction itself.
but see, it actually goes beyond that. Uh, if a Supreme Court cannot decide on the way things are going to happen, uh, the circuit judges are allowed to do what they want to. But that means that the other judges in individual states can make their own decisions. So, for like, I believe it's Alabama right now is wanting to say that they're not going to allow marriage equality. Well, the Supreme Court currently has a ruling in place. Marriage equality is constitutional. If the Supreme Court is not there to tell those people to shut the fuck up, because they can't talk to the circuit judge, and the circuit judge hand down the ruling and go that way. The state court will finish. Okay, the circuit judges are the middleman here. Okay, the Supreme Court makes the big ruling. And the circuit courts essentially enforce that. Okay, without the Supreme Court there, circuit court judges are going to be on their own to make decisions, and it will be easier for the circuit judges to let the state courts decide shit. So that means marriage equality in Alabama will probably be undone, and then it will have to be brought all the way back to the Supreme Court once a new justice is in place. And what's terrifying is that the Senate is wanting to block any nomination that Obama makes, any nomination. And it's interesting to me because Scalia was a strict constitutionalist. He believed that what the founding fathers wrote was what they intended, which means basically amendments 1 through 27 don't really matter because they're not the original Constitution. So whatever was not expressly stated there is not what we need. In other words, amendments shouldn't be allowed. Okay, that's what this man believed. Okay, but the
And he
Constitution,
actually followed that belief.
he did, which is it's frightening.
Well, no, he did not always follow that belief. There's a
Well,
lot of people that'll argue that he only
he
did that when he felt like it.
he well, he did pretty much everything, Uh, but it's fine. That's what he believes, and his sole purpose on the Supreme Court was to interpret the document, and that's how he wanted to interpret it. I can't fault him for that because that was his job. Now, I don't have to agree with what he said, and I certainly don't on a lot of issues, but I can't fault him for interpreting the Constitution in the way he did. That's him, okay?
Oh no,
But
I have no problem with him interpreting it that way. I have a problem with his consistency in his interpretations. It was
yeah, I
very
know. But
it tended to find Republican trends more than actual constitutional conservationist belief.
it does. But see, here's where it gets interesting. Like I said, the Senate is wanting to block any appointment that Obama makes, and what I was going to get at is that for a strict constitutionalist like Justice Scalia was, Obama should be allowed to make his appointment. I'm sorry. It says it in the Constitution. The president has the authority, with the advice and consent of the Senate, to make appointments. Now, people say that the
And
Senate is supposed to conduct a hearing, and the hearing is supposed to determine everything, and the Senate gets final say. No, actually, the Senate does not get final say. The Senate is advice and consent. It doesn't say anything about a hearing. If we're being strictly constitutional, it doesn't say that a hearing gets to be conducted. It doesn't say the Senate can block anything. It's the president's duty to make the appointment. Even George Washington made appointments with the advice and consent. Senate, now the Senate can say the Senate can say no, fuck you, we don't want this person for this and this and this reason. But it's still up to the president to make the appointment, and that's what Obama should do. Is just say sorry, make the appointment. Now the thing is, if he does that,
well,
we'll be
that's
stuck.
what he's going to do. He said several times he's going to appoint someone.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, what I'm saying is, he ought to just go ahead and do it because here's the thing: the Senate is in recess right now, so he doesn't get the advice and consent in the Senate right now. The Senate Republicans are saying, no, don't do it, we'll block it, but everyone else is saying, go ahead and appoint somebody. The thing is, if he makes an appointment today, we will be stuck with whoever he picks for at least 2 years. That will be the rest of this year and then next year, because the next president, uh, President Sanders or Cruz, Trump, wherever it is, goes in there, it's going to have to spend the next year finding who they want to be on the court and then legally replacing them. Uh, oh, excuse me about that. This point will not be for life. The next president can come along and say, no, your position is revoked. So it's going to take at least 2 years. But if he does it uh, this year and the Senate confirms it, I think the number one pick right now is I'm fixing to screw up his name, but Srinivasa, I believe was his name. Um, if the Senate okays him, which would make sense for them to do, because he has a lot of Republicans on his side, then he's there for life.
He's a fairly unknown. But seems to be more moderate than or a very moderate judge.
Well, see, from what I've read about him, he has not really had the opportunity to make his personal stance on issues known because he's been too busy defending the stances of other people. Okay, so
Yeah.
he's probably the only one walking into this who has a clean slate with both parties.
Well, the other problem for the Republicans is that when they confirmed him to the circuit, they unanimously, it was a unanimous vote by the Senate. So it would be strange for them to suddenly try to block him when before they had a unanimous vote to put him in. It backs them into a very bad corner. The Republicans played this extremely poorly, and it makes them look bad, just like it did with the threat of shutting down the government.
Which time?
Every time, but especially the first time. Um, when they the strange thing about the Republicans is that they're so ready to threaten and bully that what might be smart political moves turn out terribly because, well, they played their cards too early. Trying to delay the president's nomination obviously would have been a good ploy and tactic to, especially if they could have delayed it long enough for the election to come around, because obviously a lot of conservative voters want a conservative Supreme Court in place, and that would have encouraged them to vote for a conservative president, as well as moderates that might be more conservative. However, with the way they've played this out, by immediately claiming that Obama shouldn't nominate anyone, they just look like idiots and terrible. They just look terrible.
It I kind of agree. I believe it was Robert Reich who said this, that essentially what's happening is, like you and I discussed, I don't know, like last year, I think, we are pretty much seeing the death of the Republican Party. I mean, it's ripping itself apart. I mean, look at the Republican frontrunners, okay? They're all vastly different individuals. They all have different backgrounds. They all have different beliefs. Uh, they may say some things in common, but they can't even get along for 2 hours on a debate stage and talk about issues. They have to make attack after attack after attack. Meanwhile, look at Clinton and Sanders. They may get a little bit hostile towards one another, but they're able to actually carry on a functioning debate for 2 hours, and it's interesting to think about what's going on. And like I said, people are saying this is probably going to be the death of the Republicans. I mean, if a Republican does not win this time, might be screwed. I mean, my own current congressman, Louis Gohmert, who I've discussed him numerous times now, has actually got. Actually, I'm going to try and find the newspaper article about this because it's very interesting what was said about Mr. Gohmert.
I mean, the Republican Party has had major problems since 2008. Um, Oddly enough, with the rise of Sarah Palin, when the Tea Party really started to take hold, and ever since then, the Republican Party has been having serious problems just trying to maintain its base. And unless it can maintain it, and its base has been pulling farther and farther to the right hand spectrum of the political axis. And I mean, what's really interesting is that there is no major liberal party in America right now. The Democrats are at best centrist, if not center right, I would say. The Republicans have gone very far right in recent years. And perhaps the reason that Bernie Sanders is so popular right now is because there is really no progressive liberal candidate. and there has not been one in decades, maybe, possibly. I mean, can you think of the last one where we had a real progressive liberal presidential candidate?
That was a Republican.
No, no, just any progressive liberal candidate.
Uh, so that would actually probably go back at least as most recent as Reagan. But Carter for sure. Johnson, Nixon, Kennedy. Like you're going back
Yeah, yeah, but
40 to
back
50
then,
years.
but I mean, in recent history, there have been no progressive or liberal candidates. There just hasn't. Not on the Democratic
Well,
or Republican side.
I mean, like that's excluding current candidates. Like Bernie and whatnot. So,
Well, yeah,
but
but
anyway,
I'm saying since Bernie, like Bernie is the first that I can think of that is a serious contender for president that is a serious progressive and or liberal.
okay. But I found the article here, and it's interesting to see what people are saying about their politicians. And like I said, I live in Louis Gohmert's district, okay, and he's ultra conservative type individual. But both of the Republicans running against him think he's corrupt. They're tired of his stupid bullshit. Both Republicans are. This is the same party. They're tired of being represented by this man. And the Democratic candidate here says the same thing. He has three people attacking him for the exact same reason. But I want to read this without reading the guy's name. Okay. Um. Excuse me. Actually, I can't avoid. Okay. His name is Color. It says Color arrived shortly after that and outlined the shortly after that thing was Louis Gohmert saying he did not want to stand anywhere near this man because he had been called a name. Ooh, that sounds like some social justice warrior bullshit to me to say. Anyway, Color arrived shortly after that and outlined the family ordeal that drew him to enter the race. A mineral rights dispute in one of the counties around here that deteriorated into a foreclosure raid on his 72 acres by sheriff's deputies, while Color says he and his family prepared a foreclosure detainer. Excuse me. We asked for help and nothing happened. We went to Louis Gohmert and Louis turned his back on us. And it says Gohmert, a former appellate chief justice, ignored a felony committed against his family. This is what the man said. He ignored the felony committed against his family and says he intends to file a complaint on the six-term congressman with the U.S. Department of Justice. I fought for 6 years for my family, Color said. His four homeschool daughters in the back of in the back of the meeting, and this is Louis' response. Okay, this man is here seeing him face to face after 6 years of being pissed off at him. Okay, so he's there, definitely attacking him and saying things about him. So this is Louis' response. That's not true. I investigated very fully. My heart goes out to the Color family, but to make allegations on me, say I turned my back is completely untrue.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
I mean, it's and this is why it's important to get out and vote. Uh, I believe I've mentioned before on the show about how I'm running for city commissioner here where I live. I've been going out door to door, meeting with my neighbors, answering questions if they ask them, and I've only had one person tell me that they don't intend to vote, and it's because it goes against their religion. Everyone else, I've been reminding, you need to get out and vote, you need to get involved, and uh, ear- early voting is going on here right now. For the March 1st primary here in Texas, and there has been very very low voter turnout, and it's sad. I mean, we're like sitting at 1% right now, and it's been going on for I think 3 or 4 days now, and it's it's it's
Wow,
it's it's,
really?
it's pitiful. Yeah, 1% turnout. And typically
Wow.
for local elections, we usually get no higher than 5% in the entire county. It's pitiful. I mean, people actually have a chance right now to make a major difference in their government. I mean, my current city commissioner has decided to drop out of the race, so it's me and my opponent right now. Barring uh, everything else, we basically have a 50-50 chance of winning, and that's actually awesome to me. But I mean, there's two or
I,
three city
I,
commissioners
I
up for grabs.
almost want to adopt the policy of Europe where it's actually illegal not to vote.
It probably should be illegal not to vote. Really, I mean, like I said, it is the most important thing that you can do as a citizen. Get out, get involved. I mean, just going door to door and talking to people has let me realize a lot of people are upset. Now, it's not that I didn't know people were upset, but it's like, hey, there's problems that people have at the local level. There's problems at the state level and at the federal level. And I think this election is probably the most interesting and the most important, certainly of my lifetime, because this is, there's people in all levels of our government, like all three branches of the federal government, are now have openings, and it's kind of crazy to think about how um, far things are going for either party, for anybody right now. And it's actually beautiful to me to see people actually willing to get out and get involved. I mean, like the last time I recall a very large voter turnout was actually when Obama was first elected, and I I would like to see that every year. I would like to see that many people get involved every year. That this is uh probably the most important point in time for the entire, it's important for me to be going through this. And like I said, I would like to see more people be involved in it. Uh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, people need to go out and vote. It's that simple.
It's actually so important that the season premiere of Last Week Tonight on HBO actually skipped over everything else they could have talked about to talk about voting. Uh, I can't remember all the details of the discussion that John Oliver had about it, but the video is posted on this. It's about ghost voting and how there are people who are showing up, and it was talking about voter turnouts and how people have said that dead people are being allowed to vote. Voter fraud basically, and ghost
Yeah.
voting is a thing. There are a few instances of it, but it's basically ballots that are unaccounted for. It's not that anyone's making things up, but we've been hearing these stories at least since before Obama was elected. Like I remember voter fraud coming up um, back in the 2000, like when Bush and Gore, and talking about how all these dead people in Florida were suddenly casting ballots, and it's stuff that's gone on and on and on and on and on. Been hearing it for 15, 20 years now, and surprise, in a 15-minute segment on Last Week Tonight, they disproved the entire thing.
I just want to give people a statistic of how bad American voters are at actually going to vote. What's our average turnout in the presidential election? Like 35%?
For my county, like the highest we've ever had in recent memory is about 35% at most.
Yeah, I think that's about what nationwide. That's about average.
Yeah, it probably is, give or take a little bit.
Okay. Do you know what the lowest voter turnout in Great Britain is since 1945?
I'm gonna guess 98%.
No, it's not that good. It's 59.4%, which was in 2001. The highest turnout they've ever had was 83.9% in 1950. That is literally almost double American turnout for voting. That is sad.
It is sad, but I mean, then again, we live in a country where people would rather vote for someone on American Idol or actual American Idol's going off the air now, which is kind of interesting to think about. The show's been on for I think 13 seasons now, and it's going away. But people would rather vote for someone on that or dance. Let's see, Dancing with the Stars. This is not to bad mouth my mother, but she likes Dancing with the Stars. It's not a bad show. I've watched it sometimes. It's pretty good. It's actually really fun to watch. But she will vote 5 or 6 times for someone on that. Until she's gotten the total number of votes she's allowed to have. But votes once or twice a year in things that actually matter, and that's not bad. It's just I would rather see someone have that much interest about actually voting than anything else.
It, I just don't understand people not going to vote. I don't understand it. And then they bitch and complain, and I'm just, yeah.
Well, see, people like to bitch and complain about a lot of things, but staying with HBO shows here for a minute. I don't know how many of our viewers watch Bill Maher. I sincerely hope it's all of you. And honestly, I've actually gotten to the point where I realize that I seem to agree a lot more with Bill Maher than I ever thought I would in my life. When I was younger, I would hear the name Bill Maher and I'm like, ah, God, no, just run away from him. But now I started watching his show every Friday, which it's actually about to come on here in a little while, and it'll be live. Uh, but I've realized I agree more with what he said. But he drummed up a lot of controversy last week. Are you familiar at all with what happened, Nick?
Wait, what happened with what?
Are you familiar at all with what Bill Maher did last week?
I might be, I'm not sure.
He went on kind of a rant about people who support legalization of marijuana and how people say, well, it needs to be on the ballot, da, 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 and so on and so on. And he says, you might want to prepare yourself to not actually win that argument. You might wind up surprised losing and it never be legalized. And he goes on and on and on. And finally, he says something to the effect of that he thinks his third eye is actually bothering him. He has like a cataract or something in his third eye. I don't remember how he phrased it, but he has a problem in his third eye. So he needed to take his medicine. So he pulls out a joint on live TV and lights it up and passes it around the table and starts smoking marijuana on live TV. And it,
Yeah, I saw the clip of that.
I thought it was fucking awesome. I really did. But some people were somehow offended by this and said that he needed to pay a fine. So I do want to dispel any rumors, that any one of our viewers may have heard right now. No, Bill Maher has not been fined by the FCC for smoking a joint on live TV, and there's actually a reason for this. The FCC, believe it or not, does not even govern HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, stuff like that. They only really involve themselves as far as TV goes with network stations, so ABC, Fox, NBC, stuff like that.
NBC,
If
CBS.
you were to do it on there, you would have a problem. But Bill Maher did this on HBO, and they don't give a good goddamn about it. And I
Yeah,
actually
and
fully support him. I mean, I am not a marijuana smoker, but I do understand people use it for pain management and whatnot. So
I,
I say legalize it.
if they cared, I think a lot of TV shows would have major problems. A lot of popular TV shows.
A lot of producers would have problems, but like I said, I don't really care. I actually enjoyed the fact that he started smoking a joint. I think it was kind of awesome. It was like a big fuck you to everyone. It's like, look, I'm an American. I'm gonna do what I want to, and I'm gonna do it on live TV, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with it.
I really don't know why anyone actually would have a problem. I mean, like I said, the FCC does not even regulate the channel he's on, so who really cares that he smokes a joint? Honestly,
Not me.
wait,
I
aren't no wait, aren't we supposed to be good people here, and bring up or at least acknowledge the fact that he's wrong for doing this? I mean, aren't drugs bad or something?
Weed is about as bad as taking a drink or smoking a
Oh,
cigarette.
okay.
I mean,
So,
I don't smoke weed. I don't drink. Well, not really. No, I don't drink. Um, I don't smoke, so I don't do any of those things in particular. But I'm not going to blame someone that does or call them bad people or anything.
so yeah, I think we're kind of at a little point here where we just realized, hey, we're kind of endorsing doing drugs, but it's okay. It's
No,
marijuana.
no. I'm just saying, you're not a bad person if you do uh some drugs. You're not a bad person. I'm not saying it's a good idea to do drugs, but you're not really a bad person.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Also, please don't smoke weed and drive. It's just as bad as drinking and driving. Just 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 don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, moving on, I want to talk about the loss of a genuine American icon today. Well, not just an American icon at this point. I mean, someone that's an icon of the entire, let's say, the entire world. This week has been pretty rough for a lot of reasons. I mean, obviously Justice Scalia died, so that's caused some problems. But oh, hey, good news. I do not have a graphic for this. I wish I had thought about this ahead of time. Again, but our long national nightmare is over with. The Malheur National Wildlife Refuge has been cleared out. The last of the terrorists agreed to surrender, and Cliven Mundy was arrested by the FBI finally. So that's over with. But more back on the point I was going to make. We have lost someone very important to us,
Wait, that was still going on? I'm sorry, I literally didn't care about them at all.
no, the last four surrendered, and Cliven Bundy has been arrested. So yay. But what I was gonna say is, we've actually lost someone who's actually drastically important in the world. Harper Lee died this morning. If you don't know her name, you might know the name of the book the most famous book she wrote, To Kill a Mockingbird. It does have a sequel. I have not read the sequel. I probably won't, even though I've been told by someone who's also a Mockingbird fan like I am that I need to read it because it will mean a lot to me to read it. But okay, long story short, Atticus Finch is one of my favorite literary heroes. Um, I think that Atticus represents the absolute best in mankind. And I say this, because if you look at the character of Atticus, he lives in a very different time than what we do now. And it's a time where racism was essentially casual. Everyone referred to black people as niggers. People were segregated and so on. It was just the way people spoke. But Atticus, being a lawyer, was charged with defending a black man who was accused of raping a white woman. And at the point in time this took place in the book, this was a hanging crime. Um, but Atticus defended the man and did it to the derision of everyone in town. But he did it because it was simply the right thing to do. The second book makes Atticus out to be, like I said, someone who's a casual racist, and that's why I don't want to read it. It's like I'm fine with the understanding that that's what Atticus was. I'm fine with the world being the way it was at the point in time, but I don't really care to have my opinion of Atticus Finch changed. But when I found out Harper Lee died this morning, I I was heartbroken. I cried. I mean, it really upset me, to know that she's gone.
It, it's another major loss for the year. I mean, we've lost a lot of good people. And then I saw Stan Lee was saying that he's not going to be going to any more Canadian conventions after this year. And now I'm sort of worried about him dying.
See, I think Stan
Did
Lee is
you-
immortal, and he just won't admit it. I really do.
Possibly, but I mean, maybe he'll just ascend into another dimension.
I don't
Maybe
know.
that's what will happen.
I don't know, but you know what? Since we're discussing Stan Lee, there is something I do want to talk about. I don't know if everyone has seen Deadpool yet. If you haven't, fuck you. You need to go see it. But Deadpool, um, has basically broken every record for opening weekend for R-rated movies and for movies that are in the superhero genre. Now I know Deadpool's not a superhero. Shut the fuck up. But it is now the highest grossing comic book themed movie of on opening weekend. It brought in $125 million, and that is just, like the closest one to that is, um, I believe, The Dark Knight Rises. I think is the next closest one. Uh, but
I
it's
think so.
but it's beating it out by nearly $5 million. Now, of course, we're a little over a week, or well, actually, almost 2 weeks at this point away from the Deadpool opening. Oh, no, yeah, close to that, about a week now, and it's
It's
it's get
exactly a week now.
yeah, and it's continuing to do much better in theaters than anyone thought. Like I said on the review of the movie that I did, I think last week, whenever it was I posted it. I said,
I mean, I have to say that the marketing for Deadpool is some of the best I have ever seen. Ever. I mean, Star Wars was had really great marketing, but the Deadpool marketing was just funny. It felt personal. It felt like they were reaching out to everyone individually. It was amazing to watch.
it's also an amazing movie. I said that and again, Nick, I don't know if you've seen it or not, so I'm kind of hesitant to talk about anything
Well,
that might be a
I
spoiler.
haven't been able to because my wheelchair has been broken, but it got fixed today, so maybe I can go see it now.
So you mean now that you're an official cyborg, you get to go see it?
I am not a cyborg.
Yes, you are. You are. You know what? You know what? You know what? That's going to be the title of the episode. Like I had a title lined up. It was something funny. But now it's going to be Cyborg Nick. So
No,
there you
no,
go.
it's going to be I am not a cyborg. Then that's what the title's going
You know what? Better yet. Better yet. Um. Uh. Yo soy. Uh. Cyber. I don't know. I was gonna think of something cute. But anyway. Go see Deadpool. It's doing
to be.
awesome. And another thing. I want to talk about. I kind of hesitate to do this. But Walking Dead is back. It started back this past Sunday, and I gotta say I'm actually a little bit disappointed.
I think I haven't. I've missed 2 seasons now. It's been a long time since I watched.
You see, okay, here's the thing. When the season split a while back, I think it was like a Monday or Wednesday episode about what had happened and making predictions and everything. And watching it, I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen. And turns out I'm right. Uh, hashtag spoilers. Carl does get shot in the face. Major character deaths, but it's characters that you don't really give a shit about. People that deserve to die. Uh, Negan is mentioned. I mean, it's basically everything that I said was probably going to happen is what's happened. They did almost kill Glenn. They almost killed Glenn this time. I was that was the only point in time watching the episode I set up and I was like, oh my god, no, no, they're gonna do it. But spoilers here. He was pushed against a wall, and the walkers were about to entirely swarm him. But then at the last minute, he gets saved again. And I think that they're just teasing the audience. And if it goes the way it did in the comics, I'm pretty sure that Glenn will not be surviving this. In fact, that's going to be my prediction. Glenn will not survive this season.
Eh, I mean, they're the TV show now has characters that are so beloved. I don't know if they can kill them off. But if
They
they're
can kill
going
them
to
off.
stay true to the comics, they have to at some point.
They'll kill them off. I mean, it won't surprise me to see when certain characters go down. I mean, there was clearly enough wiggle room with Carl not being shot in the face. Oh, I'm sorry, Coral being shot in the face. That they could have skipped that, but nope. They it and see here's the thing. Here's the thing. Um, they have fantastic makeup jobs on Walking Dead. Like the effects are beautifully done, and Coral being shot in the face left me disappointed
Hmm.
because he gets hit. He turns around, and he's like, "Dad," and there's this whole and it actually it was convincing enough that when you saw it, it's like, oh my god, a hole in his head. But when you look at it, you can realize it's fake because it's literally just in his eye, and it's exploded the eye, and like the shot kind of you know splattered around it, but it's really just like an exploded eye. Like there's no other damage at all, and somehow being shot in the eye, at essentially point blank range, was not enough to kill young Carl. Oh no, no, it just bust open his eye. Like it didn't even do anything to the orbit, to the interior of the socket at all. It's just blew up the. It's disappointing, and it was boring, and I kind of want to know why I still watch Walking Dead after that episode. But on the other hand, Better Call Saul premiered on Monday, and it was fantastic. If you've never watched that, you need to watch it. But I would watch Breaking Bad first. Which, by the way, I did convince my mother to finally watch Breaking Bad, and we finished it this weekend, this past week, and she loved it. She thinks she's like I am. She thinks it's one of the best shows that's ever been on TV. It really is. And there actually is a major character death in Breaking Bad, where they use a facial prosthesis for it. I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to tell you who it is. But it's actually far more convincing than Carl's exploded eye.
Hmm.
That's all I'm going to say.
I think we have officially hit an hour.
Yeah, whoa, wow, that's a little over an hour. That's pretty good. Where
Huh?
did the time go? I mean, we didn't really even talk about anything important. I mean, other than
Yeah, I
voting.
mean, wow, that just passed by really fast.
It was this, but yeah, it's been an hour, so I think that might be a good stopping point for today. But we do need to try and
Before we
keep.
go, what are your predictions for Nevada and South Carolina?
Okay, thinking about everything going in. Trump is ahead in South Carolina and Hillary's ahead in Nevada. Um, fuck. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna give South Carolina to Cruz because I think there's enough evangelical voters there that will actually go and vote and support him because he has all their support somehow. And Nevada, damn. I want to say Bernie, but the reality is it'll probably be Hillary.
I
And
think
and
I
and
think Bernie will win Nevada. I think he will.
and okay, here's the
And
thing.
I agree with you. I think Cruz will win South Carolina.
But okay, here's the thing. Switching them, you're looking at the Republicans in Nevada and Democrats in South Carolina. I'm actually comfortable saying, and this is strange to say this because it's South Carolina. I'm comfortable saying that Bernie will get South Carolina and Trump
What?
will get Nevada. No, not yeah, yeah. Trump will get Nevada.
Bernie, South Carolina? I don't think.
Yes,
I think he'll
yes.
finish a lot closer than people are giving him credit for, but I'm pretty sure Hillary has South Carolina.
I'm willing to bet it will be Bernie because Nikki Haley is one of the most popular Republicans right now, and she's actually somewhat of a progressive. She's now you have to listen to her, to see what she says. That's along lines of what Bernie might say. But South Carolina does have a large portion of young people. They have a large portion of blacks and other groups. And if Bernie is continuing to get acknowledgement from civil rights leaders like he has been, uh, and the young people get out and vote, and the more progressive Republicans, continue along with what Nikki Haley is saying, I think Bernie has a chance in South Carolina. I really do.
It'll be interesting to watch. But
It
we
will be.
won't
It will
know
be.
the South Carolina until much later on. For now, it is the battle in Nevada for Democrats and South Carolina for Republicans.
Yep. And okay. I still think that Hillary will come out on top in Nevada because I mean she has honestly she has too much of a lead there, and there's too many people there
No,
who
the recent poll showed them in a dead heat.
well it's only about 1 or 2 points, and I think it's entirely likely that she'll carry Nevada. So like for me, I I'll give Cruz South Carolina, and I'll give her Nevada. I'm fine being wrong. I'm okay being wrong.
Hmm, I guess we'll see.
We will, but that's gonna be it for today, I think. Unless you have anything else to talk about.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, so yeah, we'll find out in about a little less than 24 hours or so, who wins in what state, and of course we'll post the results on our Facebook page. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like this video, comment on it, share it everywhere. Subscribe to the channel, like us on Facebook, and prepare yourself for Cyborg Nick when he comes and knocks on your door.
I am not a cyborg, but I will be knocking on your door.
Cyborg.
Goodbye, everyone.